When people think of the Vatican, they usually imagine what is meant to be seen: St. Peter's Basilica, the Sistine Chapel, museums filled with white, marble, and carefully curated masterpieces. But the visible Vatican is only the outer layer. Behind the public spaces exists another Vatican, one that does not operate for visitors, pilgrims, or even most scholars. This hidden system is not designed to inspire awe. It is designed to endure. Access inside the Vatican is not hierarchical in the way most institutions are. It is fragmented by purpose. A person authorized to enter one restricted area may be forbidden from entering another just a few meters away. Corridors do not always connect logically. Doors lead to spaces that do not appear on any public map. This fragmentation is deliberate. The Vatican is not a single archive, vault, or collection. It is a network of controlled environments, each created for a specific reason: preservation, isolation, or delay. Some spaces exist to protect documents whose historical impact is not yet settled. Others hold objects that cannot be interpreted without destabilizing existing narratives. Some are simply meant to keep materials intact until a future context makes understanding possible. What defines these spaces is not secrecy in the dramatic sense, but restraint. The Vatican has learned over centuries that information released at the wrong moment can cause more damage than information withheld. Political systems collapse, belief structures fracture, identity itself can become unstable. So instead of forcing immediate explanation, the Vatican preserves first. This approach explains why so much of the Vatican's inner world feels unfinished, not incomplete, intentionally unresolved. There are rooms where nothing is displayed, only stored. Corridors that lead to sealed doors with no labels. Archives that document events without interpretation. The Vatican does not always seek to answer history's questions. Sometimes it chooses to hold them. This philosophy did not emerge suddenly. It is the result of surviving empires, schisms, reforms, and revolutions. Each era taught the same lesson: memory is powerful, but uncontrolled memory can be dangerous. So, by separating what is public from what is preserved, the Vatican maintains continuity. It ensures that history is not erased, but also not rushed into judgment. This is why the hidden Vatican does not feel like a place of secrets waiting to be exposed. It feels like a place of time, slowed, layered, and suspended. What lies beyond the public Vatican is not a single revelation, but a system built around patience. Because once something is preserved, it can wait. At the center of the Vatican's hidden system lies the Vatican Apostolic Archive, an institution often misunderstood, simplified, or mythologized. For centuries, it was referred to as the Secret Archive, a name that fueled speculation. In reality, the term secretum originally meant private, private to the Pope, private to the institution responsible for maintaining continuity across generations. The scale of the archive is difficult to grasp. Shelving extends for tens of kilometers, holding documents that span more than 1,000 years of recorded history. Papal correspondence, diplomatic negotiations, internal theological debates, trial records, royal petitions, and reports from every corner of the known world. Many of these documents are accessible to approved scholars. Others are restricted by time. Some are sealed not for decades, but for centuries. The reasons are rarely announced. Certain files involve political agreements whose consequences still shape modern borders. Others contain testimonies that contradict official narratives.
Some present multiple versions of the same event, recorded by different observers, none clearly marked as definitive. What makes the Vatican Apostolic Archive unique is not what it hides, but how it records. It does not attempt to reconcile contradictions. It does not smooth over inconsistencies. It does not rewrite history to make it coherent. Instead, it preserves events as they were documented, including confusion, disagreement, and silence. In many cases, correspondence ends abruptly. Investigations stop without conclusion. Decisions are recorded without justification. There is no editorial voice explaining what should be believed. The archive does not tell a story, it stores memory. From the Vatican's perspective, history is not a finished narrative. It is an accumulation of perspectives shaped by power, fear, belief, and uncertainty. This is why so many documents remain sealed, not because they contain forbidden knowledge, but because they cannot stand alone without context. Released prematurely, they would invite interpretation without understanding. Archivists inside the Vatican do not see themselves as gatekeepers of truth. They see themselves as caretakers of record. Their responsibility is not to explain history, but to ensure that history survives intact, even when it is uncomfortable or unresolved. This philosophy leads to a strange reality. Within the archive, there are documents that challenge one another directly, letters that accuse, reports that deny, testimonies that raise questions no one answered at the time. The Vatican does not resolve these conflicts, it preserves them. In doing so, it accepts a fundamental principle that some parts of history are not meant to be clarified immediately. They are meant to wait. And in the Apostolic Archive, waiting is not neglect, it is policy.
Beyond documents and written records, the Vatican preserves something far more difficult to explain: physical objects whose meaning is uncertain. These spaces do not resemble museums. There are no display cases arranged for viewing, no explanatory plaques, no curated narratives guiding interpretation. Instead, there are storage chambers, controlled environments, and rooms that exist solely to hold what cannot yet be understood. Many of these objects entered Vatican custody gradually, over centuries. Some arrived through early missionary expeditions, brought back from regions where Christianity encountered cultures far older than itself. Others were transferred quietly from monasteries that were closed, dissolved, or abandoned. Some were removed from excavation sites beneath ancient churches and basilicas, where layers of history overlap in ways that defy simple chronology. What unites these objects is not their appearance, but their classification. In internal inventories, Vatican archivists often described what an object was not, rather than what it was. Not liturgical, not decorative, not canonical. This method of cataloging reveals a great deal. When an object does not fit within an existing religious, cultural, or historical framework, it is not discarded, it is stored. Preservation takes priority over explanation. Some of these items are fragments, parts of larger structures that no longer exist or whose counterparts were never found. Others are complete, yet offer no clear indication of function. Their materials may be familiar, but their form is not. Their craftsmanship may be precise, but their purpose remains unclear. In several documented cases, objects were removed from public collections shortly after being examined, not because they were deemed dangerous, but because no responsible interpretation could be offered. This pattern extends even to human remains. Within restricted areas are preserved remains that were never placed on display, never associated with veneration, and never integrated into official narratives.
These were not destroyed, they were isolated, documented minimally, and stored under controlled conditions. Again, the priority was not denial, but restraint. The Vatican's approach to such objects reflects a broader philosophy. It does not seek to force meaning onto what it cannot yet contextualize. It accepts uncertainty as a condition of preservation. From the Vatican's perspective, premature explanation can be more damaging than silence. An object explained incorrectly becomes misinformation. An object preserved quietly remains evidence. This is why many of these collections feel suspended in time. They are neither forgotten nor resolved. They exist in a state of waiting for new methods, waiting for new historical context, waiting for a moment when interpretation would illuminate rather than distort. The Vatican does not treat these objects as threats, it treats them as unanswered questions. And within its hidden rooms, unanswered questions are not problems to be solved quickly. They are responsibilities to be carried carefully.
Some of the most carefully controlled spaces within the Vatican are not archives in the traditional sense. They are sealed rooms, environments designed not for study, but for containment. These rooms do not appear in public catalogs. They are not included in exhibition plans. Their existence is acknowledged internally, but rarely discussed outside of operational necessity. Inside them are containers rather than displays. Stone chests reinforced with metal bands. Heavy wooden cases wrapped and rewrapped over generations. Metal boxes sealed with mechanisms that record any attempt at opening. In several internal inventories, the contents of these containers are described only vaguely, if at all. What is recorded in detail is the condition of the seal. A seal intact is routine. A seal broken is an incident. A seal replaced is documented with precision. This suggests a critical priority. What matters most is not interpretation, but stability. The Vatican has always understood that knowledge carries consequences. Not every discovery strengthens belief or understanding. Some discoveries destabilize identity, challenge authority, or fracture continuity when released without context. Rather than destroy such material, the Vatican isolates it. This approach is often misunderstood as secrecy or suppression. In reality, it reflects a philosophy shaped by centuries of institutional survival. The Vatican does not see itself as the final judge of meaning. It sees itself as a custodian of memory across time. Some objects, documents, and testimonies cannot be responsibly explained within the cultural or intellectual framework of the present. To release them prematurely would invite speculation without understanding. So they are preserved in silence, not denied, not erased, held. This logic extends beyond physical containers. Entire rooms function as pauses in history, spaces where interpretation has been deliberately postponed. Silence in this context is not absence, it is restraint. The Vatican's survival through empires, schisms, revolutions, and ideological shifts has taught a consistent lesson. Memory must be protected not only from destruction, but from misuse. By sealing certain materials, the Vatican accepts responsibility for what it does not yet explain. This creates an unsettling reality. Within the Vatican exist objects that are neither sacred nor profane, documents that are neither confirmed nor rejected, histories that are neither accepted nor denied. They remain unresolved by design. From the Vatican's perspective, the greatest danger is not controversy, it is forgetting. To forget is to lose evidence forever. To preserve, even in silence, is to allow the future a chance to understand what the present cannot. This is why the hidden Vatican feels less like a vault of secrets and more like a system of controlled patience. It is not a place waiting to reveal everything. It is a place waiting for the right moment. Because in the Vatican's philosophy, history is not something to be exposed all at once. It is something to be carried forward, intact, incomplete, and still alive.